Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name's Christine, and this video is part of the Inky Backgrounds series, and we are going to be stamping with some found objects. So these are a few. Some of my favorites are pencil erasers, little lids, bubble wrap, cardboard, when you tear back the cardboard and reveals the strips, and then I'll also be using a cup. Now there's many different objects out there that you can use. These are just a few of my favorites, but if you have some other favorites, feel free to leave a comment letting us know what you like to stamp with. So I'm going to start by the pencil to show you some of the results. So it gives you like these little sort of imperfect circles. And I'm only using white because at this point I'm just trying to add some brightness to my background, so I've decided just to use white paint. But again, you can do this at any step or stage along the way, and you can use colored paints if you want. So it just gives you another idea. Here's some more, just a little bit of white in the darker blue. And then this one had the heart background on it already, so I just filled it in between with all those little white dots. And then this one that had that little scallop in the line, I thought a little white dot in each of those would just break it up. And then this one, I also had like a dotted, this was the medium, gel medium under there, but you can do dots on dots and it adds different layers. So I have a sheet here, so I'll just show you when you're doing the dots. I have some dried paint on there already, but I have a little blob of paint down here. Just stamp it and then you can. Now if you want more that have more paint, then just put it in your paint more often. If you want different variations, then you see as you stamp it off, you'll get just little lines. And these look good clumped or just in a line, or however you want to use them. So that's stamping with an eraser. So next I'm going to move into the cardboard, and this was a box I had and I just ripped off part of that background to reveal the little ridges. And here I just did it up and down, giving lines to go with the same way as the design there. And just having that little bit of white just cuts up the color. And I like this because if I was to just do this by hand, I wouldn't get that same randomness of the lines. So I think it's a nice way to add just a little bit of color. This time I did it the opposite way, and I did it over where I had add marks with some paint. And then I put my lines this way. And again, it just breaks up the background a bit. This one where it's like water, I just put it and it almost gives it like little white cap of waves. So I thought that was a really interesting look. And then on this background, again, it was a lot of color. So just by putting a few of those lines in there, I'm breaking up the color and adding a bit of white, and I think the white just brightens it and gives it a little bit more depth. So I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to do all my samples on this blue. So this time I pick up the paint with a paintbrush, and I just sort of paint it on. And then I just keep stamping. So there you get the original that was thicker and then just little bits of color. And sometimes that's all you need is that little tiny bit of white to make your background just that much more interesting. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about little cups. So you can have little, you can have big cups. Bottoms there. Now when you're doing the little one, it's great for little projects, and of course the big one is good for big projects. But here I want to show you I had a background that was quite sort of busy as it was, and I wasn't sure what to do. And by adding the big rings, I'm now bringing a layer sort of on top of it. And I can add more to this now, where all that detail there can slowly get pushed back into the background and something more can be built on top of this. The same with this one. It was a very specific design. So now I thought, okay, I'm going to build upon it and have just that color and that in the background. And I put the little pencil eraser circles there. And then this one here is a combination of the little rings and the pencil marks. So when I'm doing, oops, I put my whole paintbrush. When I'm doing my little one, that one I can dip into the paint and just do little marks. And when you can either have it like all, but then there's times as you stamp it off, pieces start missing, and or they're different like thicknesses, and that's what I think makes it interesting. When I'm doing the top of this, I'm putting the paint on with a brush again. If you had a whole big thing of paint on your thing, you can stamp it in, but it's so large. I'm just going to do that. And here it didn't fully connect, but I think it's more interesting that way. And then I'm also going to do the bottom. It's a thicker ring. I didn't do this on my cards because I thought it was too sort of bold for the cards, but if you're doing a large sheet or a scrapbook layout or something, then it would probably work better. And you get more of that coffee ring look. So you could do this like with brown ink or different colors if you want more, as if it was a coffee stain, but it gives you that roundness. Okay, so then the final one I'm going to show you is bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is, people have been using this forever, and then now we've made it into stamps and we made it into stencils. But you can just buy, we bought a roll of this at the dollar store for like, the dollar store for $1.50. But I just cut a piece, you'll have it forever. And it just gives a really neat effect. Here I did it on this card. And then this one that had a lot of pinks going on, just by adding those little white dots really brings the brightness in. I thought I had another one, but anyway, I'll show you on this, on a card this time. So what I do again is I like to paint it on. I don't want to get too much paint on it because I want to see all those little bubbles. And then you just stamp it on and take it off, and just like that you can see how easy it is to add some texture and depth just like that over those dark areas. So that should give you some ideas. Let's see here, we had the bubble wrap. I'm going to just wipe this off. And we had the rings, and we had pencils, and then we had cardboard. Here's the big rings. So those are my favorite tools to use. But as I said before, if you have a favorite found item that you like to stamp with, feel free to leave a comment, and we can all check it out, and maybe it's something that will inspire more of us as well. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to Scrap Time videos on YouTube. And for more Inky Backgrounds, be sure to check out the Inky Background playlist.